Wait, what about weird?
Hi, I'm Echo.
And I'm Elena.
And this is What About Weird, a podcast dissecting all things weird, from cryptids and aliens to strange science and unhinged history. And I don't think we've said this yet on the podcast, but happy Pride Month, everybody.
Happy Pride Month. We have not said that, I don't think. We have so much shit going on, and we recorded our last 2 episodes, like, in May or something. I don't remember. So, in our brains, it wasn't Pride Month yet, because it wasn't, even though the episodes were for that.
Yeah. And usually it's like, okay, these episodes are coming out in June. Let's not forget to, like, wish people happy Pride, or let's do, like, related episodes. And I feel like we've just had so much going on and so much in our minds that it didn't really hit until, like, June started. And I was like, holy shit, it's Pride Month. Wow.
I made some posts. I've been shit posting about Pride stuff on the Instagram.
Okay, that's good.
I brought the Jim Jones Happy Pride from the One Straight Man post back.
The world's only straight man.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, I haven't been thinking about Pride Month. I haven't been thinking about anything. I have just been in a state of constant... I probably just blew out everybody's ears. I'm so sorry. Anyways, what are we... It's Pride Month.
It's Pride Month.
Are we doing a related episode, or are we just saying it's Pride Month?
No, it's
Yay!
Pride Month. We're doing a Pride-related episode. This is one that I've actually wanted to do for, a really long time.
Yeah, because I took the Pride episode last year when I did the Dancing Marquise.
Mm-hmm. Last year was kind of a cop-out because it was like, you mentioned, wouldn't it be so funny if you did a multi-part series of Jonestown, since Jim Jones said he was the world's only straight man. And then we could say, like, happy Pride, everybody who was at Jim Jones. Not only because he's the only straight man, but because he's also a piece of shit. So that was, like, the whole deal with why we did Jonestown during Pride Month last year. And then, of course, we had the bonus episode, which was the Marquee that Elena did. And then
that man is still an icon, not Jim Jones. Henry Cyril Paget is an icon.
I think about him often after that episode, honestly.
Sometimes when I get dressed, I'm like, would someone call me a bedazzled creature or whatever it was, a bejeweled creature?
I love that. I just, every single time I smell car exhaust now, I'm like, this could be perfume instead. Anyway, so... today, I'm going to be doing an episode on Dr. Alan Hart. Have you ever heard of him before?
I have not. I have heard of Dr. Bliss, and Doctor Who, and
the
Dr.
only
Strange.
2 doctors. Oh, there we go. There's 3.
There's
the
3.
only 3 doctors.
And Dr. Scholes, Dr. Martin. What other doctors do I know? Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz. Fuck both of them. I know so many doctors.
Damn, all right, go off.
Look at me, huh? What other doctors do I know?
No, okay, this is 30 minutes
I can't think of
naming
any.
doctors.
Happy Pride. Listen to me, name doctors.
So, Dr. Alan Hart, Alan L. Hart, was born biologically female. I'm not going to say his birth name because honestly, I don't think it fucking matters. That's not the name he associated with, so who cares? I appreciate when people are like, we want to give the background, but like, I don't want to dead name someone even if I'm giving a background. Like, fuck that.
I was recently learning about a Mexican gunslinger that was signed female at birth, identified as male, and would just shoot anybody that would misgender him.
Dude, fuck yes. Yeah.
Icon. And I almost did an episode on that.
Ah, that would have been amazing. Could you imagine back-to-back, like, Pride Month episodes? Next year for Pride Month, every episode must be Pride-related. Like, I feel like we should give the whole month what it deserves.
We have to. We
do. Yeah, we fucked up the last 2 years. But next year, we're going all out.
Everybody DM us at the beginning of May, because we record our episodes for June in May most of the time. DM us in May and remind us that every episode has to be a Pride episode. I'm giving you guys homework. Remind me in a year because my brain does not work. Okay, I'm gonna put a bubble in my mouth and sit on my hands like I'm in preschool.
Okay. Alan L. Hart was born in 1890 in Halls Summit, Kansas. After his father died of typhoid fever, his mother relocated to Oregon, where he was raised.
Was his mother's name Mary by any chance?
I don't know his mother's name. I don't know either of his parents' names. To be fair, his father died really early, and fuck his mom. Even as a small child, Hart knew who he was from the very beginning, showing a clear preference for boys' clothing and toys typically geared towards boys that were made by his grandfather. His mother often regarded this behavior as foolish, but his grandparents would refer to him as their grandson in their obituaries. So, like,
I love that.
I know, like, which is so fucking progressive for the time, because this is literally like the late 1800s, early 1900s. Yeah, and the fact that, like, the mom was like, this is foolish, this is fucking stupid, you're not a boy, you have to be confined to these typically female gender roles. The fact that his, like, especially his grandfather really stepped up and was like, hey, I'm going to provide you with, like, boys' toys and boys' clothing, and we're going to refer to you as our grandson in our obituaries. That's so fucking cool. I'm so glad that he had at least some sort of supportive support system, because a lot of people didn't at this time.
A lot of people still don't.
Which is so fucked up. It is 2026, people. What the fuck? It is 2026. Like, get your head out of your fucking ass.
If you can accept your kid for being a piece of shit, why can you not accept your kid for being like, call me by a different name, please? I know so many people that go by the weirdest nicknames possible, and everybody around them is the type of person to not want to call someone by their chosen name. It's like, okay, but you'll call that person Skeeter, but you won't call someone whose birth certificate has an M on it. Like, you won't call them Emily. The fuck?
That always bothers me, because, like, it's like, okay, so Grandpa Richard goes by Dick, but, like, you won't fucking call me by a different name? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Throughout history, people have been calling other people different fucking names. You cannot tell me it is that hard. And unfortunately for Alan, after his grandparents passed without the support of them, he ended up having to conform to an identity that was not his own. He attended Albany College and later transferred to Stanford University in 1910, where he thrived in the progressive environment surrounding San Francisco. He founded the first women's debate team around this time, and around this time when he was at Stanford and he's in the debate team, he starts feeling comfortable enough to start dressing in men's clothing and adopting a more masculine mannerisms again, just like he did when he was younger. So Hart ended up returning to Albany College, where he graduated in 1912. And afterwards, he was admitted to the University of Oregon Medical School in 1913 and ended up graduating first of his class in 1917. He even earned
Good for him.
Right? He even earned the Sailor Medal for academic achievement. During his time in medical school, Hart experienced intense gender dysphoria and ended up seeking the help of a professor of psychiatry, Dr. J. Allen Gilbert.
I thought you were going to say J. Allen Hynek, and I was like, hang on, where's this going? And Dr. Hart was an alien.
Dr. Gilbert tried psychotherapy and hypnosis in an attempt to persuade Hart to conform to social norms of being a woman. But the attempts failed.
No shit.
Hart said the idea of living as a woman made him feel physically ill. Dr. Gilbert decided to support Hart's decision to seek an early form of gender-affirming care in 1917 when he underwent a full hysterectomy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. After the surgery, Hart cut his hair short, only wore male clothing, and began living openly as a man. He legally changed his name to Alan and then started his long journey of an incredibly successful medical career. Dr. Gilbert later published an anonymous study titled Homosexuality and Its Treatment that documented his progress with Hart, in which he seemed pretty supportive of Hart's decision, though he did still use the wrong pronouns throughout the thing.
Also, calling it a study of, I understand they didn't have as many terms for stuff, but calling it like a cure to homosexuality implies like, if you're gay, we can make you straight by making you transition, which is problematic.
It's definitely not great. Title's bad. The way it's written is bad. It should also be noted that Hart asked Gilbert to perform a full hysterectomy on him, citing a eugenic argument that persons with abnormal inversions be sterilized. So that fucking sucks. I don't know if, like, Hart actually believed in this. I think
the guy that performed the surgery, there's too many doctors in this. The guy that performed the surgery, in his article, said that the reason he did it was, or Hart said,
when Dr. Alan Hart was like, please, will you give me this hysterectomy? He basically cited this eugenics argument so that Gilbert would be a little more persuaded.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's sort of. And it's like, I don't know if Hart actually believed in this. I think maybe it was just him simply using this argument so that someone would help him with the hysterectomy, which is like, you gotta do what you fucking gotta do. Would hope that Gilbert realized that he couldn't change Hart. You know, Alan was the who he was. He wanted to be a man. He wanted gender-affirming care. Nothing was going to change who he was. And, like, I hope that Gilbert realized that and decided to just simply be supportive and go with a different route of care. I really hope it wasn't the eugenics argument that kind of pushed him to be like, yeah, okay, let's sterilize this person.
And even if, it's a tricky thing, because even if both of them just said this as like a, yeah, haha, we did this because our excuse is that this person's unfit to reproduce, even if they're both like winking at each other behind the scenes of like, we both know that we're trying to make you feel better. It's unfortunate because it can push the idea in other people's heads about like that type of a thing. Like, it'll give people, other trans people, ideas to, you know, help get gender affirming care, which is fantastic. But it could give ideas to people that are bigots and all twisty fucky.
Because you wouldn't want somebody to, like, read that and be like, oh, yeah, sterilizing these people is a great idea. No. No. No, no, no. No.
Did you just hit your mic?
I did. I'm so sorry. I got too excited.
Sounds like you slapped a guitar. The gong of judgment has been hit. To get that reference, go listen to the Cryptid Cocktail creepypastas thing again.
We referenced too many episodes that aren't even on our feed.
Yeah. That was such a fun episode, though.
It really was.
It's so quotable.
So Gilbert ended up writing in the study, she made her exit as a female and started as a male with a new hold on life and ambitions worthy of her high degree of intellectuality. Which is a nice thing to say, but like, bro, pronouns. You literally just admitted that he transitioned into a male and then you're still like, she. And I'm like, doesn't that defeat the purpose?
I had a friend that tried to correct someone on another friend's pronouns once. My friend was like male to female, and someone said, he is a woman! And I was just like, ugh.
Like, yes, but no.
Yeah, it's A for effort.
C for effort in this case. I mean, I'm giving that a grade C. Try harder. So in 1918, Hart eloped with a woman named Inez Stark, who was a public school teacher.
That's a sick name.
I know, right? even though Hart was an outstanding medical professional, he experienced a lot of discrimination for being transgender. When he worked as an intern at a hospital in San Francisco, a former student outed him, and the San Francisco Examiner took the information and wrote an article titled, "Intern Unmasked as Girl Graduate of Oregon School." Afterwards, Hart was forced to resign, and he moved back to Oregon.
I fucking hate people. Like, if they're a good teacher and they're not harming anybody, what the fuck is the problem?
Like, he's just an intern doing his fucking job, like, doing his fucking best, and people are, like, outing him. And then when people out him, the fact that newspapers are like, "Whoa, intern unmasked as girl graduate. Fuck off. Fuck you. Don't report on that shit. What is wrong with you?"
I hate that. And it's so dicey at this time, even if they were to report it as like a, look how wonderful this is, it would still be like, still outing the person and still not a good thing for their career, because a lot of people were very so anti-trans they didn't even know what that was.
Yeah, because nobody recognized him as being transgender.
Yeah, so what's the fucking problem?
Here's the thing. They thought he was just a woman masquerading as a man. That's what they thought it was. And they were like, we must, like, unmask this woman. Like, you're a woman. What are you doing? Woman, woman, woman.
Oh, ew.
And, yeah. And so, like, people kept fucking, like, anyone that knew him or that found out just kept fucking outing him and being like, you're a woman. And Hart's like, I'm not. Please fucking stop. And they didn't understand what being transgender was. So it was like, look at this woman masquerading as a man. It's like, can we just let him be himself? Like, holy fucking shit. Like, you don't need to fucking tell people. What is the point? You don't need to fucking tell people.
It doesn't fucking affect your life. Literally, it doesn't fucking matter what someone identifies as or what their, like, sexuality is. It doesn't fucking matter. It drives me up the wall. And it's been a thing forever that, like...
Yeah. Oh, literally.
Because Two-Spirit doesn't exist, because it drives me nuts when people will say, like, oh, well, you're born male, but you dress as a female, and when archaeologists find your bones, they're going to think that you're a man. And it's like, do you know how many times archaeologists have dug up a grave and gone, well, structurally, this is the body of someone who we would normally say is a male, but based off of the way that they were buried and the things they were buried with, we can assume that this person was a woman.
Right. Yes. They've gotten, I mean, so much better about that stuff, which is, yeah, and like using context clues, which is what archaeologists have always done. You know, like that's literally their job, to use like context clues to gather, you know, information about the person other than what their fucking bones say. So, you know, after this outing, Hart was forced to resign and he moved back to Oregon. And after this event, in an interview with the Albany Daily Democrat, he stated, I had to do it. For years, I had been unhappy. With all the inclinations and desires of a boy, I had to restrain myself to the more conventional ways of the other sex. I have been happier since I made this change than I ever have in my life, and I will continue this way as long as I live. Very few people can understand. And I have had some of the biggest insults of my career. I am ashamed of nothing.
Yeah, crazy. Someone's happy living their life how they choose that makes them feel good and positive in a way that doesn't affect anybody.
Yep.
Except them.
Literally. Between 1918 and 1925, he was outed several times and was forced to move. In a 9-year period, he and his wife at the time were forced to move 7 times due to people outing him and the awful discrimination and harassment that followed. He and his first wife, Inez Stark, ended up divorcing in 1925 due to all of the social strain.
And I was going to ask if it was because of that, yeah.
Yeah. Which fucking sucks. And later that year, he fell in love with and married Edna Ruddick, a social worker whom he met when he enrolled in a summer writing course at the University of Oregon. He and Edna remained together for the remainder of his life. The pair eventually settled in Connecticut, where he continued to build on his medical career. Dr. Alan Hart was a pioneer in the medical community. Before Hart, tuberculosis was diagnosed using microscopy, which missed about 50% of cases. During this time, tuberculosis was a leading cause of death, and I hate to break it to you, but it still is. Tuberculosis is not a disease of the past. It is still a very, very large issue today, and it is largely a human issue. Not in the way that it affects humans, but in the way that we have the tools to diagnose and to treat it, but we choose to make healthcare inaccessible to certain populations, all for monetary gain.
Also, there are people that have the ability to get treatment for things like tuberculosis and refuse to because they don't want to deal with anything modern medicine because that's bad and all this stuff. And like, the healthcare system is flawed. I have issues with the healthcare system. Medicine is generally good, but like, I don't know if I think it was in Kansas recently in the last year or something, there was a big tuberculosis outbreak because people were like, I'm just going to use fucking essential oils to cure my child.
Yeah. And like people like there's vaccines for shit. Like fucking go get vaccinated. Like what the fuck are you doing? Like this is what modern medicine is for. This is what it's for. You do not want to go back to the fucking 1800s when we were dying of all of this shit. Like what is wrong with people?
When I said I wanted to live in a Western, I meant it as like a romantic ideal where everything is like nice and perfect and I could just live in the woods and not have to pay taxes and be a silly little cowboy. I didn't want tuberculosis and just all of that. I didn't want this.
So TB isn't really a problem in a lot of countries like the United States. And so a lot of people just don't fucking think about it. They're like, that's, something that they used to get in fucking like Bronte novels or whatever. But it's estimated that 1/4 of the world's population, approximately 2 billion people, have latent TB. In 2024, TB incidence reached an estimated 10.7 million people and caused 1.23 million deaths, making it the leading cause of death from a single infectious agent worldwide. If you want more information about the history of tuberculosis, I highly recommend the book Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. And if you want to support tuberculosis care worldwide in an effort to make TB a thing of the past, there are organizations that you can be a part of. So anyway, that information aside, just because a lot of people are like, TB is not a big deal anymore. It is. It's a really fucking big deal. And we have the tools to diagnose and treat it, but we hoard
the medical
those
system
tools.
Wants to make things so expensive. I think you'd sent me something about like the price difference between the cost to make tuberculosis cure versus what they're selling it for. And it's like absolutely insane. It is like to make it is fractions of the price that they're selling it for.
When you look at like, where TB is most prevalent, that like a lot of the people there can't fucking afford like $5 to $25 for like a medication that they have to continually take. They do not have that kind of money. In what we could be doing is we could fucking get rid of TB altogether if we just like gave people the medicine and fucking took care of them and like diagnosed them and all of this. But it's largely like pharmaceutical companies charging rates that a lot of people in the world can't fucking afford. And so like we just willingly let millions of people every year die for fucking money.
This is what when I say I hate the medical system, this is what I mean.
Yeah, like not even just the medical system in the U.S., the global fucking...
The global medical system,
medical
the medical economy.
pharmaceuticals. Yeah, it's so fucking devastating. You know, obviously you need money to develop stuff and to do research, but I mean, when it comes to like you have the resources to save 1.23 million lives every year, like holy fucking shit. So the TB information aside, let's get back to how Dr. Alan Hart was a complete badass who changed the tuberculosis world forever. In a time where microscopy was missing a large portion of tuberculosis cases, Hart recognized that chest x-rays could identify TB even before symptoms appeared. This revolutionized TB care and the ability for TB to be diagnosed. Hart went on to earn a master's in radiology from the University of Pennsylvania in 1928, and then later got a master's in public health from Yale in 1948. He served as Director of Hospitalization and Rehabilitation for the Connecticut State Tuberculosis Commission, where he used mobile X-ray units to detect tuberculosis cases that were asymptomatic. He also oversaw screening programs for the entire state. His intervention in tuberculosis care led to earlier treatment and lower rates of transmission, which saved an incredible amount of lives. Hart held leadership positions within the American Public Health Association and the American Thoracic Society. He was also a novelist under the pen name Robert Allen Bamford Jr. His most celebrated novels included Dr. Mallory, The Undaunted, and In the Lives of Men. Dr. Alan Hart passed away from heart failure in July of 1962. His wife, Edna, passed 20 years later, and where she left the majority of the estate to the Medical Research Foundation of Oregon in memory of her husband. Even though he experienced transphobia throughout his life, which forced him to uproot his life so many times, he always stuck up for what he believed in and continued to be his unwavering self. His brilliance and courage saved the lives of many, changed the future for the better, and he served as a figure of hope and inspiration for many generations. There has been debate in literature and history as if Alan was truly transgender or simply a lesbian, but I'd say given his quotes, the name change, gender-affirming care, and all the other factors, there's a lot of evidence for him being one of the first open transgender men. And in honor of every trans person who is struggling due to the hate in our current society, who feels like they can't be seen right now, we see you and we stand with you. And I want to share a quote from Dr. Alan Hart. Each of us must take into account the raw material which heredity dealt us at birth and the opportunities we have had along the way, and then work out for ourselves a sensible evaluation of our personalities and accomplishments. And that is all I have on Dr. Alan Hart. Not only an influential figure when it comes to the LGBTQ community, but a massively influential figure in medical history. Somebody who just really helped the entire world. Somebody that we can look back at and we can still praise and still honor and still look up to even all these years later. And moral of the story is don't let anyone tell you who you are because they're not you. They don't fucking know. And 2, don't be a fucking dick. Like, you don't have to understand because we all have different lived experiences. You don't necessarily have to understand what someone's going through, what they prefer, what's happening in their mind and body. You don't have to understand it to be a compassionate, empathetic, respectful human being. So respect the other people around you. Let them celebrate what it is like to be a fucking human.
I will never understand people that refuse to give people basic human decency for any reason. You don't have to understand it to be like, I'm going to be kind to you and make sure that you can have your basic human needs met.
Exactly. Like, everyone deserves to just live their life the way that they want to live their life and to, like, strive for happiness. Like, everybody deserves that. Everybody deserves the same basic human rights that, like, other people have. It doesn't matter what their gender is, their sexual orientation, their job title. Like, it doesn't matter. Everyone deserves the same fucking level of, like, decency and respect, unless you're a fucking, like, serial killer, murderer, pedophile, or you're trying to take people's rights away. Then fuck you. You don't deserve shit. But
yeah, you get uno reverse, you get your rights taken away.
Yeah. Other than that, though, like, everybody deserves to just be happy being themselves.
There's no more and, ors, or buts about it. It's just everybody deserves to try and strive for happiness. I don't think I have anything really to add to that.
But yeah, I knew about Dr. Alan Hart, but when I was reading the book Everything is Tuberculosis, like, John Green has done some shorts about Dr. Alan Hart, and then he also wrote about him in his book Everything is Tuberculosis, because obviously he was such a key figure in tuberculosis treatment, and he really revolutionized diagnosis and treatment for tuberculosis care. And it kind of, like, put me more on his radar, and I was like, not only do I care a lot about what's going on with tuberculosis care around the world, but I also care a lot when it comes to sharing stories like these, because we don't hear about history like this often enough.
Yeah, and a lot of times it'll be like you'd hear a story like this, and instead of being like, look how much this person, it would either be, this person did a lot for tuberculosis care. We're going to totally ignore the fact of how much they struggled at the time because they were trans. Or it's, look at this person who was a doctor and they were trans. We're going to ignore all the stuff that they did, though, that was so incredibly impactful for humanity. Crazy. People are multifaceted.
Well, do you want to do our outro?
Thank you for listening. If you liked it, please rate the podcast and share it with the weird people in your life. Follow us on Instagram at whataboutweird.pod, where we often share pictures related to the episodes. We're also on Blue Sky as What About Weird Pod. If you have any topic suggestions or personal weird stories, please DM us or email us at whataboutweirdpod@gmail.com. And always remember
to ask about the weird.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.